Hey everybody, welcome to Kid Contractor. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hey, I am super excited about today's episode. We've got a legend, a mogul in the industry here that's covered a lot of bases, had a lot of growth, and has got a lot to share. And I'm super excited about getting this wisdom over the airwaves. Returning guest, I think it's been a little while now, but uh, Kory Ballard here, Ballard Products. Also, do I say formerly Perficut too, or what's up with Perfect Cut there, real quick?
Yeah, glad to be on, Caleb. Yeah, so I'm no longer with Perfect Cut. I mean, I did stay on for 2.5 years after we sold. So we sold in 2021 to a national company, and I stayed on for 2.5 years, and we still own the real estate that they run out of all their facilities out of, and I still have some, I guess, ownership in the parent company. We rolled some stock in, but not involved in the day to day at all. And so still go to like our snow kickoff meeting. I'll go to our spring kickoff meeting coming up, and I do that. Just because I love to see the people, and if I can knuckle bump and give some hugs to some of the guys that have been there 10, 15, 20 years, I just love seeing their faces, and I think they like to see me. I think they like to see me anyways. And so yeah, kind of a weird thing to not be involved at all with that anymore. And the crazy part is that company's Perfect Gut's growing like crazy. I think when we got out, we were around 25-ish million, and I think they're going to exceed 30 this year. And
Wow.
so still growing like crazy. And just an attribute to what we put together. And Matt Bowman, my business partner, he's still on as acting president and CEO, and I think he's still having fun with it. So, company's still growing. A lot of things, exciting things going on there. We're in the Des Moines market, Omaha, and Cedar Rapids, and we've had no snow here. So. As of today, I'm not sure today's the 13th, 14th of January. I'm not sure when this will air, but our market locally has had no snow. So luckily for Perfect Cut, we do a lot of seasonal stuff, but the smaller contractors are certainly um, probably struggling. And we did get some snow south of us in like Kansas City. And I know some guys were down there chasing some snow pushing just because, man, no revenue for 2.5 months. And there's really nothing in the forecast, which is a little scary.
Yeah, that is the tough thing about the snow game. And I guess to give context, folks, or Kory, for the folks that aren't familiar with you, you built a company called Perfect Cut from $0 to then 25 million at your exit. Is my understanding there? Can you tell us about the quick overview of your careers thus far, so folks kind of have an idea of what you've done?
Yeah, and I've told it so many times. Sometimes I kind of skip over, but the short version, yeah, I started mowing lawns at 14. I just went door to door and wanted to buy a new moped, and I that seemed to be the best way to do it. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I had a couple mowing crews, and just grew it from there. Just was in a great community, knew a lot of people. It was growing. I was out hustling. Getting employees was easy back then when you're 19, 20 years old. Everybody wants to work, and you know everybody. And really just, I don't want to say lucky, but timing was perfect. I think I was really good at finding some talent around me. I was introduced. Matt Bowman was a friend of mine, kind of through some other friends, and he started working with me. And Matt had a really great talent for selling. I was really good on the operations side, and had just a really, if you any of you have ever met me, I'm just bouncing off the walls. I got a lot of energy. I gotta keep people around me to kind of corral it. But just a high energy guy and a motivated guy, and people wanted to work with me and for me. And we just grew a great company, and added services over the years. And of course, in the beginning, we were residential, and eventually became almost 95% commercial, with a branch here in Des Moines, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska, and Cedar Rapids. We also did work throughout, about 7 or 8 states for some different large, big box stores and different things. But primarily was a full service site management company, which means we did maintenance, landscape installation, irrigation installation. Um, the snow and ice management was a big piece of our business. Actually, the largest piece of our business was snow and ice management. Obviously, mowing that goes along with it. We had a tree service, certified arborists on staff, and um, So we built it up to a really nice company and really worked on a strong brand and having incredible people and weren't for sale. We were not trying to sell the business. I had stepped away from the day to day in 2017 to focus on Ballard products. Um, and we were always getting hit up by, venture capital companies and all kinds of people wanting to buy the company. And when Heartland reached out numerous times, they just seemed different. They spoke our language. They weren't bankers and doctors and lawyers. They were landscape people who understood business and understood how to the mergers and acquisitions of landscape businesses because they had been a part of a lot of the failures of Valley Crest and all the stuff that happened in the early 2000s. And they started speaking our language. And really, first and foremost for us, Caleb, it was about how do we take care of our people? Nothing's got to change, and the brand can't change. And their model is simple. They, when they buy a company like Perfect Cut, we wouldn't even have had to tell the customers or the employees. The only thing changes is they own the stock and I don't. They don't change. They don't come in one day and paint the trucks a different color and throw a different uniform on your people. And so nothing changes. Now, ultimately, after a while, little things change. They changed software. They actually had a better healthcare program because they've got more people, obviously. So there were some benefits to our people, but the key to it was we weren't for sale. And so we were able to negotiate a little stronger on what we thought the value was of a strong brand. Um, and the reason it worked so well, and the reason I always tell people is to build a company to sell it, is we weren't for sale, but when it was time to sell it, it was worth top value because I wasn't running it and Matt really wasn't running it, even though he was the acting president at that point. We had built such a strong system, and our customers were not doing business with Matt and Kory. They were doing business with Perfect Cut, and we had built great partnerships in the community and had great account managers and sales reps and all those types of business development people. And so we were able to sell it for what we felt was a premium, and it's still going strong today, like we had mentioned. And so 2017, I also, when again, I stepped away and I went full time with Ballard Products. And I think a lot of people think Ballard's new. We're actually celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. So 25 years ago, I started Ballard Products, which was a very simple, small kind of hobby business. My dad had actually built a trailer assist. He was helping us mow and he was slamming the gates down, picking them up, slamming the gates down. The welds break loose, then you snag a mower tire and you get a flat. I'm sure you guys get this, right? And he said, there's got to be a better way. So he just took a garage door spring and a piece of cable and some couple rollers and made like a little pulley assembly. And so we created the Easy Gate. And he made it out of necessity to make his day easier. And I got to looking at that with my crazy entrepreneur mind and said, shit, I think we could probably sell these, right? There's a billion utility trailers out there for everybody that, from guys that have a golf cart to lawn mowing guys to everybody using the utility trailer out there today. And so we put a patent on the product and we started selling those. And the problem was back then, Caleb, there's no social media, right? So I've got this pretty cool product. I got a patent on it, and I have no way to sell it. And so started running some ads in like Lawn and Landscape magazine back in the day when magazines were a little more prevalent. Pro had a magazine. And the phone would ring and somebody would buy one and we'd build it and sell it. And that's kind of how Ballard started. Then we made a jack to lift up our mowers and we just started making things that we were using every day. And I kept thinking, well, shit, if this stuff works good in our business, what about all these other yahoos out there doing what we're doing? And, but again, wasn't really sure what to do with it. At one point I had one sales guy, one warehouse guy, doing about $500,000 a year in sales at peak. We were selling product to Northern Tool, and we were a distributor for other products. We were buying some racks from Green Touch, and I really liked them, so I got a hold of those guys and said, "Hey, can I sell your product?" They said, "Sure." So it was kind of just this nice little hobby business that I was having fun with. Sorry for the long answer. And then in 2017, I came to a point where I told my wife, I said, "Babe, I'm either going to shut down Ballard Products or I'm going to do something with it." I said, I need to sleep on it. And I was looking for some guidance and she gave me none. Actually, she said, you'll figure it out. You always do. And I'm like, well, fuck, I was hoping you would like give me some brilliant insight. And she said, well, where's your heart at? And I said, well, I'm kind of burned out at Perfect Cut. I don't feel like I'm adding a ton of value. Um, and I'm doing Ballard half-ass as well. So I'm doing both things half-ass. Neither one of them are really benefiting from getting a piece of my time. And so I went all in Ballard in 2017, and here we are today. We've grown that significantly in the last, 6, 7 years, and we're in our brand new facility today. And we have about 1,600 SKUs now. And we've got a 25,000 square foot warehouse, and we shipped about 300 and just shy of 350,000 products last year. So that's the long answer to a 35-year career, if that helps anybody.
Man. And so one thing I want to run back on there, and you thought you didn't get good advice from your wife or good guidance there, and all she had to do was ask you one question, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes where's your heart at, right? What are
Yeah.
you passionate? What are you most passionate about? And I felt like I need to be, I need to be, you know, engaged. I need to be pressed. I'm not I'm just, people like when I sold Perfect Cut, I could have just sat back and played golf and hung out, right? I have no interest in that. I don't even know what that looks like for a guy like me. Um, and so I really need to be engaged. And that's why I have so much fun with Ballard. I'm working on probably got 8 to 10 new products in the hopper. I got stuff sitting on my office floor right now. Um, I love that type of challenge. And so for me, I needed to be um, engaged again and excited again. And a little bit, I'll just tell you, just honesty, a little vulnerability. Like part of me wanted to see if I could do something really cool again. Cause I got a little bit like, man, maybe he got lucky with Perfect Cut. Maybe it was Matt, maybe,
Hmm.
and so a little bit of me was like, I just want to, I want to show everybody. I have this little chip on my shoulder, maybe that I want to, can he do it again? Right. Can I go out and build another successful company and offer great opportunity to my people? Um, Without anybody else's help. And so there was a little bit of that. And I don't know why. Again, nobody's keeping score. It's just me. I think people are keeping my score, but at the end of the day, it's just me. I'm just crazy.
What would be the metric for success on that new company if you were to start one? What would then be like, yeah, I can do it, see?
For me, I mean, that's an interesting question. I mean, not dollars. I mean, it's never been about the money for me. And I know people find that hard to be because you certainly have to be profitable, right? I mean, I understand that all business is made to be profitable. And I think some people are scared to talk about making a profit. Because I get that sometimes. You guys are just trying to make money. Yeah, we are. Um, uh, for me, it was, every day I show up to this brand new facility. I don't know if you've seen our facility at all. Brian did a tour here, Brian Fullerton, and man, we're super proud of it. Man, it still hasn't worn off. When I show up and I see this beautiful facility and I see her name on it, and I click the button and it unlocks the door and shuts the security off, and I walk in, like that to me is like wow. And then the people, like the opportunity, we've got beautiful offices downstairs and a great conference room, and we've offered opportunity to more people. I just love, well, I love giving opportunity. I was able to hire a guy that used to work at Perfect Cut, and he's down there on the warehouse floor, and he's amazing. And and guys like he just bought a new truck, and he's like, man, I got this new truck, and I'm like, fucking hey, like I love, like that's the cool shit that to me is the measurement of success. Now we obviously want to continue to grow this company, but I don't want to grow it to make more money. I want to grow it. I mean, ultimately, we have to move the top line, but it's so we can build more staff and I can pay these people great money. And we're doing some profit sharing with our key people, and even some ownership that we're working on right now with our key people so I can give back. And so, I guess to answer your question, the measurement of success is how can I give back to some people, because I have a unique situation at Ballard where I don't have to suck every penny out of this to make my mortgage payment.
Mm.
I get to give back much more in a different way, and that's where the fulfillment for me is.
Has that always been the metric for success, like the people, or when did that shift to that, and when did that, what did that look like? or that epiphany, maybe?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. No, I mean, no. In the beginning, right, the metric of success is, can we keep the doors open, right? I mean, how do we make, how do
Yeah.
we make, it was about growth and how do we make payroll Friday? And, um, I don't know that I knew what success looked like other than sell more work, get more work done, buy more trucks, hire more people. Holy shit, are we making any money?
Hmm.
We were really good at everything except for understanding if we were making any money. Now, luckily, we were making some money, and we had some bad years in there as well, only because I think we just worked so hard. There's this thing going around that you've heard a million times, know your numbers. We did not know our numbers.
Hmm.
Um, we knew how to work really hard and we knew how to network and we were busting our ass. And my thing all along was we'll just outwork you. When you take Sunday off, man, we're just gonna outwork you. And we did that for many, many years. And um, at some point along the way, I remember thinking, holy shit, we have something pretty special here. Maybe 80 to 100 employees. And I remember, and it took a long time because I still was in like this fight or flight mode all the time and still even at a good size. And I remember thinking, I think it was a company outing and I looked around and I just saw a sea of blue shirts. It was before we went high vis and I just saw a sea of blue shirts and I thought, like, holy shit, like this is pretty cool.
Hmm.
But I think before we went on air here, before we went live, I still had this feeling and the same feeling I have today that at any moment, someone's going to take it from me. And the truth is, somebody's trying to take it from me right now. Someone's trying to take your business from you right now. Someone's trying to get that next patio and retaining wall from you right now. And somebody was trying to get those accounts from me because we had some of the best accounts. So somebody was always knocking on my door. And China's trying to take my business at Ballard right now. And so I always had that fear that, it's not forever. And so I don't know if that answers your question. I mean, it became a lot more about the people when we became a lot more stable and we started recognizing and hiring incredible talent. And I realized that I surrounded myself with people that were a lot smarter and a lot better than me. And it was no longer just about me. That we were okay without me. And that was like, sometimes it was like, Kory, I mean, people would come to me and say, I kind of need you to get out of the way. Like,
Hmm.
actually, I, I remember we had a really strong COO in place, and she said, I would prefer it if you don't come to the weekly meeting. And I'm like,
Wow.
what? This is my show. And she's like, you just create chaos. You come in, you don't know what's going on exactly. You drop 10 new ideas, and then you're like, all right, and you leave. Like,
Hmm.
and she's like, we have a plan, and you just create chaos, and everything you say you want done, everybody puts to the top of the list. And I'm the COO. So either fire me or let me do my job.
Wow. Now,
And
is that a good COO to you?
fantastic. I mean, you need
Yeah.
somebody that will tell you the truth. If you surround yourself with people that won't tell you the truth, um, that's not going to work. And so, but it takes a little bit as an owner, and I don't know if you've had this happen yet, but when you hire what we call tier one people, game changer players, they're going to tell you the truth. And if they don't, they're not an A player. And if you don't give them the responsibility and also hear them out and let them make decisions, they're going to leave and go work somewhere else. So um, it was in the beginning, it was like hard at first, like, don't come to the meeting. I'll fucking go to the meeting if I want to. But they were better without me. And then it was like, oh, okay. And then she said, you can certainly sit in, but I would prefer if you just would listen. And I'd listen and like, oh my God, they're so much more organized without me. Like
Hmm.
everybody's got agenda and accountability. And I'm just in here sprinkling ideas around. And so, yeah, I think every business owner needs to learn how to listen, take criticism from your people. I don't care if they've got two people or 100 people or 200 people. Sometimes the people on the ground with their feet in the dirt and their hands in the mud, might say, "Hey, Caleb, we're out here doing this job, and man, there's a better way." And you're like, "No, I've been doing it for 20 years." No, maybe there's a better way.
Yeah. Man, Kory, that is killer stuff. So since we're kind of there, and we do have a show topic that I'm supposed to get to here, but I want to stay on this path at the moment. What is so in your exit when you sold Perficut? a question I like asking people in general is like, especially guys younger in business and when they just started stuff like that or whatever. But it's like, what's something that you thought was true or ended up being a fallacy, something about business that like ended up not being true for good or for bad? But here's the way I want to spin this question to you, and you can answer both versions of this question if you want. So that one, but the one I want to ask you, like, what is like with selling a company when you hit the numbers you hit and that kind of stuff? What is something you thought that exit would be like, feel like, look like, be it 10 years ago or a month ahead or whatever, versus how it actually came out on the backside and what it felt like and looked like?
That's a really good question because I've been asked that a couple times lately. So when you build something from scratch, it's your baby, right? And it was my identity. And I had went through a divorce and I'd went through some things. For a while, I had a pretty unhealthy relationship with alcohol as well. I was just partying a lot. I just kind of thought I was a big deal and I wasn't, but I just
Mm.
wasn't. I was just out doing some things. And so Perfect Cut was always my identity. I remember just like, as long as I got Perfect Cut, everything's okay. Not like as long as I have my wife and child, which is so wrong and on so many levels. Not if I have a good faith, not if I have good friends. If I have Perfect Cut, everything will be okay. So my moral compass was totally off. And so it was my identity forever. And so when you go to sell something that is your identity or you believe is your identity, um, it's tough. And through the process of due diligence that took about, I think, 9 months to a year before we really, I think, closed. There was 2 or 3 times where I remember calling Matt and saying, Matt, I just can't do it. I'm not doing it. He's like, what, do we need more money? I'm like, nah, it ain't about the money. Never was about the money. And I'm like, I just can't do it. And he'd say, I'll sleep on it, call me tomorrow. And then he'd call me, and Matt had ownership. So he'd call me like a week later, like, I can't do it. I'm like, no, we're fine. So we both kind of went back and forth. And so we get to the day that we're going to sell. And we worked it all out, and Perfect Cut was debt free at that point. A great company. I
Man.
say debt free. We had some debt, but we had more cash reserve than we had debt, so we were able to be debt free at sale date, and which was not the case for 20 years. I'm just going to tell you, we were so upside down.
Mm.
And so we were at the perfect point. We'd come off our best year ever. We were getting a multiple that was insane. Um, so the financial piece made a ton of sense for my family. The risk mitigation made a ton of sense because when you have a company like that, at any moment somebody could get, unfortunately killed, and there's risk, and they're going to sue you and your company. And so it really made sense for our families and for Matt and I to make this exit and sell. So the day that we sold, I had went to the gym. It was a Friday. And I pulled out of the gym, and for some reason that day on the way to the gym and when I left the gym, I could not get away from Perfect Cut blue trucks. I've never seen so many fucking blue trucks in my life. Like, I couldn't get away. I pulled into the gas station. There's two. I went around the back side to park behind this building to take the phone call and look at this deal. And they were on the interstate everywhere. I just couldn't get away. Like, it was God just like throwing blue trucks at me that day.
Mm.
And it was weird. Like, I mean, I normally, when you have 75 to 100 trucks driving around Des Moines, Iowa, you're going to see blue trucks. But I just could, that day I had to see a record amount of blue trucks. And so I'm sitting there and I get the email that says the wire's been made, the money transfer's been made, and check this account. And I check this account and it's got this pretty sexy number in it. More than I had ever dreamed that I would ever have. Even in my dreams, when I would used to sit there and say, someday we're going to sell this company for X and we're going to be millionaires. And it hit my account, and it was weird. I sat there, and the only thing I could do was start crying, and not out of happiness. It wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I thought. It didn't feel very good. Um, and let me preface this with, I wasn't like I was poor and then sold Perfect. I mean, we had plenty of money. We did everything. I mean, we still were doing okay. So it wasn't like I lived on the street and then won the lottery. So the money was never the deciding factor, but I still thought, like, holy shit, this is it. This is like the pinnacle. I made it. And it was nothing even remotely close to that. And so I'm crying. I'm sitting behind this building. Blue trucks keep driving by every 2 seconds. And I'm crying at 45 years old like a little kid. I call Matt, and he's crying. we're both just crying. And I mean, we're supposed to be elated and happy. And it was our dream. We would have beers and we would sit there and say, someday we're going to have 3 locations and we're going to sell this thing. And everything that we dreamed of came true, more tenfold. And it didn't feel that good. And so I came home. My wife said, "Let's go celebrate. Let's go out to eat." You know, my wife, she was excited, and again, and I sat on the porch, and I didn't move. I just sat on my porch outside my outside patio, and I said, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm not hungry, not thirsty. Um, I don't drink alcohol anymore, so it was like I wasn't like, get bring me a cocktail." Um, I just sat there. It's like I was absolutely empty and numb. And it took probably a week for that feeling to go away. Like it felt like somebody, like my child got kidnapped, and there was nobody was like it felt so weird. And for probably a year, for sure 6 months to a year, I still didn't accept that I didn't own it. People be like, "You own Perfect Gut, right?" And I go, "Yeah." And then I go, "No, actually, no." Like, no.
Yeah.
And I would go in there and I'm like, "Hey guys, let's get these trailers painted." And they're like, "Dude, we have a PO system in place now, and that ain't how it works." So I'm like, "What? Just get the fucking trailers painted. What are we talking about?" Like, it was just, um, I don't know if it wasn't what I thought, and I don't want to scare anybody away to say that you shouldn't sell your company, but I believe that people think that if I just had more money, if I just had a better car, a better truck, a better wife, a bigger house, a nicer watch, that I would be happy. And I chased that for so many years, trying to fill a God-sized hole in me with watches and stuff that never fixed any of it. They
Mm.
felt good. They felt good for an hour or two, maybe a week sometimes. I'll just get that new truck and I'll put wheels on it and I'll be so happy. And then a week later, I'm like, nah, same shit. And so
Yeah.
it didn't do what I thought it would do. And so I hope that answers your question. It was a really weird, tough time, actually.
Kory, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And you'd shared the I say a version of that story, but that story at LAL, and I thought, man, that was so remarkable. To hear that, and I think anybody that's built anything they're passionate about could probably relate if they thought about it long and hard enough. And I think of us, selling anything we've got, going at the moment, and it would be a weird thing to walk away from. And like our building here that we built, my dream shop. Every morning, same thing. I have that same thing. Like every morning, I come in and turn off the alarm, and I'm just like, I cannot believe this is my office and shop. It's been 2 years, and it's every morning. It's just I can't believe it. It's so crazy. And
That's awesome. That's awesome. You still do that because Leroy with Brilliant Borders just built a new building. And I said, "Has it sunk in yet?" He goes, "I was sitting in my office the other day just thinking, holy shit, I can't believe this is mine." And I hope it never wears off. Like,
yeah,
what an amazing thing. Like, for us that have, I don't know. I'm glad 2 years later that you still like probably pull in there and the sun's coming up and you're like, man, this is ours. Like, that is awesome, and I hope it doesn't wear off for me either, because I think it's just such a unique thing to have to pull in to see your building. I mean, we were at the brink of bankruptcy at one point. I know you had some stuff in the past, like, and then you pull in and see your building with your logo on it, and you're like, shit. It doesn't mean you made it, but boy, it feels
right.
good.
Dude, it is cool to see things come to fruition. And then, like, since you mentioned it, at the same time, you have this feeling of like, at any moment, like, I'm just two bad decisions away from losing it all.
Yeah,
And
one misfit job.
yeah, and I want to run on that too, real quick. You had mentioned that of like, somebody's, somebody's hunting our work, and gosh, like either idiots or whatever. We're sharing all our processes out here on social media and how we do things and things that are making, like, we had a banner year last year and I'm talking about how we got there and did that and all that. And so here I am telling people maybe what's working for us and maybe might work for, but like, what is the real threat, right? Is it the competition? I'm kind of
No.
teeing this up, right? But what is the real threat, Kory, in your opinion?
The real threat is if you don't run your company correctly, if you don't communicate with your people, if you don't outline the goals the core values, though the culture that people want to stay at, work at, so you can recruit and retain great people. It's all about people. I mean, we have our podcast, The Green Grind, shameless plug there, but every
Awesome.
successful person I've had on, every successful person I've had on, I mean, successful for at a large scale, and even the small ones, but guys that have big companies, 10 to, we've had 50 million, 80 million, $100 million companies on in our industry and some other segments, but they don't talk about anything but people. That's all they talk about. They don't talk about Chevys or Fords or John Deeres or Cases or Bobcats or none of that bullshit. They don't talk about the facility, having a kick-ass facility, although we all know that's important and it's nice to have a facility that your people are proud of. They all talk about people, and so the the real threat is you as an owner becoming stagnant, becoming somebody that people don't want to work for. Are you putting systems in place that allow your people more opportunity? And that doesn't always mean more pay, or even doesn't mean you have to always grow your company, but because you're going to lose some, if you're in the maintenance business, you're going to lose some accounts, you're going to gain some accounts, right? If you're in the contractor business like you are, if you're selling every job, you're probably underpriced, in my opinion, for the most part. Sometimes you're just really good at it, and if you got a great sales program, you can maybe sell at 80%, maybe 90. But yeah, the real threat isn't the competition. And when I quit worrying about the competition, we became so much better. I used to worry about everybody. Joe's got a new truck. Jim's got a new truck. The grass guy's got a new truck. Holy shit, how are they growing? And we're not. Truth is, we were growing too. When I started focusing on who are we, what are we good at, who's our ideal customer, how do we make sure we service them, how do we give them service that they can't get from anyone else, and we started building long-term partnerships with our clients. We started building incredible programs for our employees. The threat was lessened. Now we're in a competitive business, and I'm just going to tell you, every business is competitive. I get this all the time. I wish I was in an easier business. I don't know an easier business. I got friends in all kinds of businesses. They tell me their business is the toughest business out there. Electricians, roofers, concrete guys, real estate guys. You talk about real estate, they're like, dude, there's a real estate. Everybody does real estate, and their wife. So we
Yeah.
think our business is the toughest. Every business is tough. And the people that are best at it are the best at it for a reason. So I think that to let you focus on the competition. I think it's good to know what the competition. Who are they? What are they doing? What accounts do they have? Do they have accounts that we want to have? I think it's good to know what's going on in your region, in your area. But man, at the end of the day, then when we just focus on who we are, what we believe in, and tell our story, we just win.
Oh man, that's such good stuff. Last thing on this, and we'll pivot to the thing you got some notes on there, maybe. But when did the quality of people and the importance on people, and maybe I asked this earlier just in a different way, but like when did that really begin to hit stride for you of how important that was?
Oh man, I tell you, we got out of control for a while. Probably 2015, 16. Man, we just had our culture was shit. Our people were just kind of running the show. We were scared to fire people. I don't know why. I think maybe I was disengaged. I was running operations, and so I had a lot of operation managers, but I think I was kind of burnt out and disengaged. Um, we let things go that I never let go before. I mean, it was kind of like, it's like we just, yeah, we used to have these standards, but I don't know. And so we started just to lower our expectations, and then we ultimately ended up with what I would say mediocre people doing mediocre work. And it started to create some cancer in our organization, and it just started. And we started looking weak as leaders, because if Joe can show up late, then so can Jim, and Nancy can show up late too. And fuck, you don't fire them. And he smokes on a job. You can't fire me because he's got caught smoking last week, and so and so smoked weed in the truck, and they got shit. They didn't get fired. And so, but we had this thing where it was really tough to get people, which I hear that a lot. But I can tell you the reason it was tough to get people is because we didn't have a great culture at that moment.
Hmm.
Um, weren't recruiting the best people. We were losing people because we were putting them with the wrong people. So we would hire 5 new people and we'd put them with these people that were kind of almost hazing them, treating them like shit to see how tough they really were. And so we were struggling for a while there. And I think 2019, even the COVID 2020, I think really put an emphasis back on our culture, our people, loving on our people more. We created some systems even in our parking lot where we have a wash line. I don't know if you've ever, I used to share it on Instagram sometime, where we had a wash line where the trucks would go through and they get washed every morning. A certain amount of trucks each day, depends on the department and location, but it wasn't about washing the trucks. Our trucks were always clean. It was just that moment. And we could get a truck through about every 3 minutes. It was just that moment to say, hey, Bobby, what do you got going today? What's your route? Knuckle bump, man. Hope you have a fantastic day. Man, kick ass. If you need anything, let me know. It was that moment to communicate with the guys. It had nothing to do with really just rinsing off the truck because we were kind of doing a shitty job anyways. Just kind of knocking the dust off them. But we started realizing how important our people were, and it just put a lot of energy back into it. And I can tell you today at Perfect Cut, I'm not there, but man, when you go to an event there, it just feels different. I watch a lot of, Sam Gimbel does a lot of stuff, and you see him, he's got donuts out, and the people are smiling. I said to Sam, I go, Sam, your people look genuinely happy. Are you just getting good photographs? Or and he's like, they are happy. And so you got to create a place that people want to work. And not everybody, listen, we're all going to have some bad apples. We're going to have some people that are just there for a paycheck, and that's okay too. And sometimes you got to promote some people on to the next company, as Sam would say. And but we started realizing that we couldn't do anything without our people. I hate when people talk about my employees are just, machines to get work done, and they're just, like they're not, man. And so I've never seen anybody successful that doesn't put their people first. And I think we were really good at it for a time, and I think we sucked at it for a time. And today, I think we're really, really good at it again. And not because it's tough to get good people, just because we understand the value of having a happy workforce and people that feel like they're valued. And it doesn't mean, like, I've heard people like, well, it must be nice you got all new stuff and you got a nice facility. Man, you don't have to have any of that stuff. You don't have to have a new facility. They don't have to have brand new trucks, but they do have to have, a clean facility, and they have to have safe trucks. And they have to have, I believe, uniforms, and they have to feel like they've been trained properly, and they have to be treated with respect, and they have to be heard, and they have to be paid on time. And if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. And you have to give proper reviews and really talk to people about their performance. And if you say you're going to give them an opportunity, you give it to them. And so I think all those things are important today for any company, whether you got 3 people or 300.
Oh man, and so that's something we're working on pretty intensely here at our company, as we're looking to grow. And we're right now, the game plan is we're going to add 3 people a year for the next 5 years, and we want to grow rather slow because and I say this, folks, with humility and whatever, but this is our goal. And so, like last year, we did 1.2 with 4 people in the field.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so, like, we want. I think we could grow really fast if we wanted to, but like, we want to hold those numbers. And I don't know if it's possible or not yet with scale, but we want to try it. And so, our goal is to add 3 people a year for the next 5 years, and so while maintaining all this stuff, and the quality of people is huge. And so I've been interviewing a bunch of people, and we're just trying to find what is the right fit and all that stuff. And I haven't done that before in mass, like interviewing people and phone calls and stuff. That's a lot of work, man.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's gotten to a point where it's kind of like, I at first it was kind of cool and fun. Now it's kind of like, you're just sifting constantly through people, and it's just really interesting. I'd love to go down that rabbit hole a million hours too. But Kory, my assistant had or Brittany maybe, somebody set a topic for the show, turns out, and I didn't get the memo, so I apologize, folks. We're still learning this whole growth thing still too. But we were talking about actually that dovetails decent. quality as you grow. Well, there we go. What do you know? Unintentional dovetail. I'm a professional here, folks. Kory, what you have notes, but like what did you learn, have you learned over the years and continue to learn about like maintaining quality with growth? And because that's the next thing I wonder about. The guys I've got right now are long-term old dogs, which is good and bad, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
learning. So how do we add new team and hold the quality where we want it?
Yeah, I mean, I made some notes, and I don't know why, because I feel like I know this stuff pretty well, but there's just some things that always stick out. When you grow, it starts with the hiring process, right? It starts with the orientation, and I believe that the orientation is just as important too. And the day that they come in and they get their first day and you get an orientation, what do you tell them about, what are you telling them about your company? Do they know your history? Do they know who runs the company? Do you walk them around the facility and show them around? This is where we, start. This is where our trucks park. This is where we get our uniforms, and really talk to them about who we are. What do we believe in? What are our core values? What each day looks like. And I think it starts there. And I think that, you get in their uniforms and they go home to their spouse or significant other, maybe parents, and they say, man, I start tomorrow, at Perfect Cut or wherever. Right. I'm excited. Like they treat me like in the old day, dude, we just throw you a t-shirt, 283 and say, see you at 7:30. See if you make it. If you don't, no biggie. So I think it starts with that, and then you also start talking to people. I think there's this thing where like you just assume people know. Well, they should just know. Why should they just know? What
Mm.
what do they know? Um, I almost think it's harder when you hire people. Like I got Mike and he's been doing landscape 3 years. Um, I don't care if Mike's been doing landscape 15 years. We're still going to treat him like he's never landscaped before, and that starts with everything we do. How do we load the truck properly? How are things strapped down? How do we leave our parking lot when we get to a job site? How do we unload? Do we put out safety cones? Do we, how does the equipment? I mean, how is the job set up? When we start to do the work, what are the expectations on the job site? Do we smoke on job sites? Do we eat our lunch in the front yard? Do we eat lunch in the truck? Do we leave the job site? If we do leave the job site, do we unhook the trailer? Do we leave the trailer hooked up? I mean, all the things that I think you have to walk through, and as long as you have good foremen in place, they should be explaining to your new people, what does that look like? What's the end of the day look like? Do we power wash the driveway if we made a mess? Or do we leave it because we're going to be back in the morning anyways? I don't know. You have to decide that. What are your expectations for your job site? Do we meet with the homeowner and say, Mr. Smith, here's where we are today. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll start the plantings. Or, hey, we've got a little bit of a mess here. We can clean it up. Or we'll be back at 8 o'clock. The weather looks perfect. Or, hey, it's supposed to rain for the next 2 days. We're going to clean this mess up before it washed all the mud back in their driveway. And they got a dog. And so, what is the process that we follow in setting the expectations and adhering to them at all times? Like, we don't sometimes clean up. We don't sometimes pick our tools up. We don't sometimes, like, what do we do every day? And I think it's also important to explain to people why we do things the way we do them, not just what. Like if it's mowing, like we really spend a lot of time, we do a ton of training. It's like go around a tree twice, blowing away from the mulch. Well, why? Why do we do it that way? Or we'll go around a building 2 times, blowing the grass in and not towards the building. We really want to spend time. We don't turn on. We don't turn on pavement. We turn on grass, and we don't because otherwise we'll leave rubber marks on like whatever it may be in your business. You have to really literally walk people through why do we do things the way we do and why do they matter, and what does that mean to the customer, and again, what does that mean to you as the employee? If we do quality work, we keep customers, we get more customers, we can pay you better, and proper care of the equipment. So long answer, but I think all those things matter from the second they get an orientation. So it's really important. Like Leroy with Brilliant Borders is going through it right now and building like an SOP. Like, what is the standard operating procedures for each of his landscape crews? And it starts with like, how do we park the truck? Do we park in the driveway? Do we park in the street? Do we park? Where do we park? You know what I mean? And how do we unload? And what. So Because here's the reality. I hear this a lot. If you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. Well, then you can't. Then you're just a one man band. That's okay. But you just got a job and not a company, so that's okay. Caleb, you can probably do a better job than every one of your employees. But it's just going to be you, bud. Maybe Brittany will come out and clean off the pavement. She might be better than you. I don't know. But
Most cases,
like,
yeah.
like I, I'm sure at one point I could mow better than everyone that mowed for me. I'm sure of it, 100%. But how would you grow? And so unfortunately, this is a weird thing to say. Your standards do change a little bit. And I don't want to say you have to figure out how to do good enough, but there are things that are acceptable at some level. Now that's a weird thing to say. I don't want people to be like, well, so you're not as good, and I'm not accepting that. But as you scale, there are things that unfortunately aren't exactly the way Caleb would do them. They're pretty fucking close. And sometimes they can be even better, though, as you get better people. Then you start to realize, like, hey, dude, that guy's actually a better hardscaper than me. He actually is better at patios than me. If we're doing a fire pit, that's my guy. You were doing a waterfall, he's the freaking pro. Like, he's actually better at waterfalls than me. And you can start to build that as well. But, just it just starts with, what are the expectations from day one? What do we expect? And then, are you going to hold your people accountable? And I think so many guys are scared to say, like, I would, but man, if I do that, Joe might quit. Well, you know what? Joe's not that good. So Joe, maybe Joe's got to quit.
Hmm. And that's something on the standards thing, as far as like, well, nobody does it as good as I do, or like, you're lowering your standards when you hire or scale or whatever. Greg Whitstock, something I learned from him speaking, I think at LAL again, but it was talking, essentially, I'll distill it down to this, of like, us owners and that kind of stuff, we're always trying to boil water at 300 degrees. And reality is, your team is going to boil water at 212. And that's fine, because that's all it takes to boil water.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the easiest I can distill that down to. There's no need, unless you can build a company that all you do is boil water at 300 degrees, and you're a niche business, and that's awesome. And I know people that do that and they kill it. And that's totally cool. There's going to be days where you're boiling water at 250 and days you're boiling at 211, or not, you're hitting 211 too.
Yeah.
Like, there are those days. But that was the best way I'd ever heard that said, was like, sometimes you're just overdoing it and your client doesn't see that. They don't see the detail you're putting into it anyway. So sometimes you're just overproducing. And
For
you got to,
sure.
if you're going to scale, I think you have to accept that a lot of clients don't care of the dumb little detail you put into something, unless you point it out to them, of like, whatever. So I thought that was just a great way to put sales. Go ahead.
For sure. One thing I was just thinking too is figuring out who in your company is the best trainer. And that doesn't mean that they're the best. Like, we have people that we see, I don't know shit, Perfect Cut. We have people, Perfect Cut has people that are the best trainers. So we know that the new guys always go with these certain individuals. And it doesn't mean that they just, like, in your company, you might have a hardscaper that he might be the best hardscaper, but he's kind of maybe he's just an introvert. He's kind of a solo. He's not a people person. He's not your best trainer. Figure out who in your company is got a great attitude, understands the company values, been with you a while, and let the new people go with whoever you determine is the best trainer. And now, depending on the type of company you have, for us, when we were doing, I speak of mowing right now because that was the easiest one to do. We had 2 or 3 guys that were like just the best trainers. And so we knew that Dustin was the best trainer. And so instead of giving him a route that was 14 hours, he always had a half-day route. So he could spend time with the new employees. You can't give him 2 new guys and 14 hours worth of work. And he's like, dude, you want me to train, or you want me to get my route done? And so figure out who in your company carries your message. Who can carry your message the best? And it doesn't always mean that he wasn't the best lawn care he wasn't the best foreman we had by any means. The best foreman we had, we needed him doing the most, making the most money, right? So figure out who in your company can be a great trainer and a great ambassador for your brand and for your company. If it can't be you as the owner, you just can't send him off with Mike, and Mike's a complete dick. Maybe he's your best hardscaper, but he's just a dick. And he's okay. He just doesn't like people. He loves laying pavers. But he if you ask him a question, he's like, dude, leave me the fuck alone. I've laid pavers. If you can't figure it out, just load block for me. Like and then the guy's like, Jesus Christ, I don't even know I'm scared to even talk to Mike. Like, but you can't send the new guy with Mike. He's not the
Yeah.
best guy. And so figure out, who that is, and in your company who can train and spend time. But it is hard as a small contractor, even like yourself. Like you send a new guy out, like you get 3 new hires, like hopefully you can kind of place them amongst a couple crews, but those crews still got work to do. And then it's like, hey, dude, we're slower today because I got Jimmy, the new guy, with me. And now he keeps asking me questions. He's slowing me down. It's like, I know, but in a couple weeks, we're going to be better. So can you walk him through the process? I know there's some grunt work he can do, but I really need you to show him how to shoot some elevations. I need you to show him how to do whatever the hell it is. And so, that's challenging as well. And I get, I'm sure you hear that. I'm just too busy to train. And I'm like, well, then you're going to suck forever. I mean, I don't like you're too busy to hire. You're too busy to train. Well, then you're just gonna be small forever, and that's not bad. I don't listen. Not everybody's built to have a big company. It's whatever you're comfortable with in you, your family, your faith, whatever works for you, man. Just do it. But I hear guys all the time, man. I want to be at 10 million, but then they don't have any of the practical skills to get there.
Boy, that's a limiting factor too. And that's something I've learned. And it's just funny, like what. And then I think of somebody like Jeff Bezos. You build that kind of organization, or a Musk, or who at Ray Dalio, you name it. Like, dude, what is their skill set? Or maybe they just have steel cojones, or no fear, no, like what kind of psychopath you are to build companies like that? I don't know.
I don't know. I even have friends that do 80 million, 100 million, and I'm thinking, is that dude that much smarter than me? Like
Right.
he's killing it. Like Jesus. Like I'm over here trying to sort out lawnmower blades. Like what the fuck? Like
I always laugh about that because, like, man, Bezos built Amazon the same time I've been in business. Yeah, real cool, Caleb. Real cool.
yeah, I
You're
mean
real,
it isn't.
real
It's
stud.
like I mean Jesus. They're literally going to own the world, and But if you listen to Musk, right, and he's like that one's obvious. Like dude's just he's so smart. He's dangerous.
He's an
But
alien.
I don't know if you've read his book.
No.
Nobody likes him. His family don't
Yeah.
like him. His kids don't like him. He is like he's not a very. And so, what's the trade off, right? It's an interesting deal. Like most of those, he's sleeping in his factory for years, and chasing this wild dream. And where's that balancing act as well? Because I was thinking about you just when you were mentioning growing your company. You've got a wife and children, small kids, but still
Yeah.
small, really. And like, what's the trade-off? Could you double your business? Certainly. But what if it meant you couldn't spend any time with the kids for the next 18 to 24 months? Like, is that a
Yeah.
trade-off you're willing to make? And some people, when they tell me I want to grow my business or I want to open up this new business, and I say, have you talked to your wife? No. I'm like, does she know you won't be at soccer for the next year? Just tell her you can't coach Little League. You can't. You're not going to be at Wednesday night church. If she's on board and you say together, all right, babe, the next 18 to 24 months is going to be a mofo. And I'm going to do everything I can to be at everything I can, but I'm going to miss some stuff. And she says, all right, babe, let's go. Then that's okay. But talk to a lot of people like, no, she'll figure it out. And I'm like, will she? She's going to leave your ass. That's what's going to happen,
Yeah.
And I've been there. I've pushed Lindsay to the point where we almost got divorced. She was like, dude, this is bonkers. We're working 80 hours a week. And I'm like, that's how you build a company. And she's like, I didn't sign up for this. And I'm like, I thought we're not the same people. I'm like, I want to be a mom. And she was sitting there on Mother's Day. I've told the story, you probably heard it, sitting on Mother's Day processing orders and just tears running down her face. And she said, how much is enough? And I said, more. The answer was more. That's all I had was more. We need more. And, and I just said, this is what it's like to build a company. And she said, I don't want to build a company. I want to raise babies. Like, and I go, oh shit, I better hire somebody.
Yeah, man, that's a chapter in a book I'm reading right now for men only, and Brittany's reading the version for women only at the moment. And I literally read those last 10 pages of that here this morning of like what women will trade for financial stability, and it's really, or how they value love and like security versus like financial. It's really interesting, and to that end, like when Brittany and I built the facility here 3 years ago now, like and buddy, I'm telling you, marriage is a complicated thing, and as you know, and Kory, it's 11:30. I've already got you, or 12:30. I'm sorry, so I don't know if you got a bolt or not, or how
No,
much
I'm
more
good.
time you got.
I'm just like Joe Rogan. We can go for 3 hours, buddy.
Dude, don't dare me. But like during the shop build here, the office, I did a ton. We did a crap load of work ourselves, like ridiculous amount, and it came my favorite Latin phrase, and I still may get this as a tattoo, and I have no tattoos, but quo pretio is my favorite saying now but that means at what cost?
Yeah,
And like her and I had the discussion prior to building this facility of like, hey, this next year is going to suck. Like, and I wasn't home for a year pretty much. I went home to sleep and run the company and all that. And she ran the company as well, work here a little bit, raise kids. And come to find out, like, it was a rough year, man. It sucked. Like we were distant for 6 months of it in the latter half, and she like, and she says this openly, but like she's like, I got where I hated that place and the new facility, right? And like, and I was like, this is we agreed this is what was going to be, and it was just like, dude, there comes a point, right? At what cost? And you can even still both agree on something and then it still be like, yeah, actually, this is not what I thought. And so that being said, growing a company as we have to our little level here and where we want to go, so like this was a tough thing. We've wrestled with this a lot as far as going like mega growth of like, going to 10 mil, going to 20 mil, whatever. And it's like all my heroes in business, like 16 of 20 of them are all divorced. And of course that beats national standards and stuff like that. And I was like, is that just what it takes? Is that what we'll have to sacrifice to get there? And we have wrestled with that of like, maybe that's maybe, and we have that's not scientific data on it, of course, but it's like, man, everybody I look up to is freaking divorced that's in business. And it's like, that has built a big company. And I'm like, can we avoid that? Is that even possible? Because it doesn't seem like it. You can't avoid those landmines. And so, anyways, like another thing, controlling quality to bring this back around is like managing a relationship because that's the quality of your relationship and with your children and all that stuff. And gosh, we've struggled with it. We haven't at the same time, but we've had so many wonderful people around us that we've learned from with this stuff. That's a tough one, man. And managing that quality is a tough thing. Like a relationship with your own people and your team. I guess Kory, unless you got anything to say on that, but the problem we have right now is like I've got my old guard, if you will, in our company, been with me for a decade and more. And then I've got these new ambitious, all these new hires. Like I'm, like I said, sifting through a bunch of people, and I got young guys that are excited and they're young in their careers and they're amped up. And my old guys are good guys, but that energy is gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they do a great job and they show up. They don't call off sick. They do a great job. They're very productive. I mean, you heard our numbers, like they're great, but that energy does not exist. And like, I am scared to death to grind these new guys down in about 6 months with this. How do we just start a whole separate young crew? You know what I mean? Like, what do I do here?
Yeah, that's a tough one because you're right. And two things are going to happen. Either, I mean, the old guys will probably stay, or the older guys that have been with you a while, but the new guys are going to go in there and a couple things happen. They're going to be all excited and ambitious, and then they're going to quickly realize that maybe their extra effort and energy isn't appreciated or needed or valued. And they're either going to do, it's kind of like the working for the DOT, Department of Revenue. Like before long, they're just going to be like, well, I'll just stand on a shovel too. Like my extra effort is no longer valued. And Mike told me just to chill out because we don't work that hard here anyways. I'm not saying you don't work that hard, but it's like, dude, chill out. Like you don't need to go crazy every day. And so the young guys will quit, right? The old guys probably won't, but it's how do you find that weird marriage, for lack of a better word right now, since we're kind of done that, to blend the young go-getters with the kind of the old guys that have like, hey, dude, we got a pretty good system in place. We run our hours. We know what we can produce in an 8-hour day, 10-hour day, however you run your shift. And so yeah, it's probably mixing them in a little bit, but or to your thought, you're gonna have to figure this out a little bit on your own. Is like if they have the training, do we just kind of have our young bucks running crew number 3 or 4, whatever that crew number 2, crew number 3, whatever that looks like, and those guys are just they do maybe the little bit smaller, less crazy jobs, and that's kind of how we work them. They the enhancement stuff or the stuff where it's not quite as detail oriented. And sometimes the older guys will like those young guys as dopers, but it won't help them get any better. And it's like, hey, I really need you to train him so that he can go on crew number 2 next year, crew number 3. And that's where the communication goes into play. And that's the same way back to your actual marriage at home is I just think so many guys they don't have tough conversations and they don't communicate. Like, hey man, sit your key people down and say, listen, we're bringing some young guys in, some new guys. And I know it's a pain in the ass sometimes, but I need you guys and I value you guys and I respect you guys. But in order to do this, guys, we have to train some new people. And I need you to really be open-minded. I need you to really, think about how you treat them and spend some little extra time talking to them about why we do things, not just what we do. And I hope that you're on board with this. And and then you can just ask them, is anybody here not on board? And if one guy says, dude, I'm not interested in training anybody. Okay. Doesn't mean you don't have a job here. I got to kind of put this guy in a silo over here, maybe. I got to kind of think this through, because if he tells you he's not interested in helping, then and you go ahead and put 2 new guys with him and it fails, and he's like, dude, I told you. And so that would be kind of my only advice is like really just try to figure it out. But if your people are as good as you say they are and as good as they probably should be, working for I mean, you and your wife are involved. I'm sure they love you guys. They're probably like family. Then they should care about the longevity of the company, which means we've got to get some bench strength. Like you guys, your backs and hands only last so long, boys. Like if and it's not a fear. You got to make sure they understand that I'm not trying to replace you. This is not a fear of as soon as we get Mike trained, we're going to let Mark go. No, man, we're growing and I need you to help us train the next guy so that we can get better. And we can also then keep you on the jobs that you're best at so I can get a new guy that maybe does the shit you don't like. You hate fire pits and pavers, we'll let you just do stonework or, whatever. And however your, operation works, but I'm sure you've got it diversified enough where you have some guys that just love doing certain things and they hate doing plantings. Hey, once we get the stonework done, I got a planting crew. These guys are younger. They love planting. And so explaining to them where you're going, why you're getting there, and how they're going to be a part of it, I think is super important.
Oh man. Yeah, Kory, that's solid, dude. What other notes do you have there? I guess since we're on topic, I don't want to try to
No, I don't really. I mean,
okay,
we just
cool.
talked about it. I mean, it just all goes back to, and then also, I made a note, just, make sure that you reward your A players and you recognize your A players for any company. I hear all the time, I lost my best guy. And I'm like, why? He doesn't want to do this anymore. I'm like, no, dude, you lost your best guy because you didn't do a good job. You didn't relay the message to him of what you're doing there. And what are you doing to take care of your best people? And you've heard me talk and a million people talk. It ain't about money. I mean, you got to compensate them fairly and hopefully you're paying them well, but this is not a money game. People want to work somewhere where they feel valued and heard and safe and rewarded. And man, it's like, I'll just give another $1 and tell them to shut the fuck up. It's like, no, that doesn't work, man. It's not about that, man. I mean, I don't know what you're paying your guys, but like our best landscape guys are making over $30 an hour now.
Yeah.
I think Leroy's got a couple guys at 32 or 35. I don't know. It's like, and they're worth every freaking penny.
Yeah.
It's like used to be you can get a good landscaper for $20 an hour.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what you're paying your guys, but it takes $30 around here to get anybody worth the shit.
Yeah.
Mowing guys are making 23, 24.
Yeah, that's where we're at. So
Yeah.
it's wild, and it is what it is. Well, let's I don't know if you got another little bit here. They haven't even got to, and on the intro you mentioned Green Grind. Tell me about Green Grind.
Yeah. So we have the Green Grind podcast. Sorry, hold on real quick.
Yeah,
I
you're
just got
good.
I just got a phone call. Probably jumped in.
I don't know if it dumped out here or what. Well, folks, you know from Kory there. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Dude, I went to answer this phone call and I canceled you somehow. So I apologize. Are we back recording?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Anyway, so we have the Green Grind podcast. We drop a new episode every Tuesday. Leroy Maines and I started doing that, I think, 3 years now. I know you've been on. Brittany's been on. We just try to get business owners, mainly lawn care landscapers, but we've had insurance people on talking about, insurance. We've had healthcare. We've had some sports stars talking about overcoming adversity. We've had some other big business owners, and we're having some fun with it. It's become a job that I wasn't looking for, to drop a new episode. We just do one episode a week, but it's still become a little more work than I thought, but and so we've had fun with it. But here's the cool thing about it is, and Lear, I'll tell you, like, I still learn shit all the time from talking to it. Actually, when your wife was on, Leroy put some stuff into place that your wife was talking about. I think it maybe was a closeout process, but like, we still have people on all the time that were like, dude, I could probably do that. I mean, the
Mm.
guy will have 3 employees and he'll be telling me a story, and I'm like, that makes a ton of sense. I could probably do that in my business.
Mm.
And so we have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, so that's every Tuesday, and we enjoy it. And if people like to listen to it, they can find it anywhere they want. And I think we're going, like I said, we're going on 3 years, a couple hundred episodes, um, and we're going to actually go back and try to get some people on from like the first year that said, "Hey, I'm growing," or "I'm getting smaller." I kind of want to see, like, "Hey, you said you were growing. Did you do what you said you were
Mm.
going to do?" Like, or where you at? Where's your business at today versus where it was 3 years ago, and what have you learned in the meantime? And I've had a couple people back on, and they said, "You know what I thought? I thought I knew a lot a year ago, and I didn't know shit." And I said, "Listen, I'm still the same way. Like, if you're not learning, I don't know, man. I look at even 2 years ago, I'm thinking, man, I don't even know what the fuck I was doing. Like, how did I get anything accomplished?"
Yeah. Yeah, I hit a couple growth points in my life, like maybe 2 years, maybe I don't know, a year ago, 2 years, I can't remember, but I remember it was that I was like, dude, I've never been one to think I've got it figured out or anything, but I felt like, man, I'm finally, like, I'm 40, I'm starting to get kind of stable. I feel like where I half-ass have an idea what's going on, and then I went through another growth thing of some reading and some peers and mentors and stuff, and it's like I never felt like I've known less in my entire freaking life.
Yeah, and that's something.
That
And I
was
think
a
that's a good
hard
thing.
one, man.
I think it's good, and I think as men, we're sometimes we don't want to ask for help. Our pride and ego get in the way, and um, you know, the most of the men that I know that are happy and successful, man, have a good group of friends, a good group of mentors. Maybe group of men that they have coffee with once a week and talk about business or life or faith or whatever it is that they do. And and just hitting on something else that you said earlier, Caleb, the most successful people I know in my life are really fucking miserable. And that's and so I always caution people about that. Like, I know some really rich people, not bragging. I just hang with some people that I got people that friends that have jets, and they're divorced 2, 3 times. Their kids hate them. They got cool stuff, man. They got cool cars, cool houses, airplanes. Miserable. So just
Mm.
be careful what you ask for, because I can tell you that um, I don't even know if they know they're miserable, but I sure do.
Yeah.
Um, and I look around, and I'm at a really good spot in my life today, and we get to spend a lot of time traveling. My son races, and we get to spend a lot of time on the road, and we've got a great company and great people, and I'm really blessed and happy and grateful for that every single day. And so I don't sit around wishing for things that I think are going to make me happy when I just know better.
Oh man, Kory, I I freaking love that, dude. And oh, geez, there's so much there. Okay, so the other thing here, and like I said, you break out whenever you got to here, just hanging
Yeah,
out
I've
there,
got
whatever.
about 10 more minutes and I got to go
Okay,
meet at my house to
well,
get something done here.
all right. Well, I didn't mean to make Ballard such a small focus here,
No, that's
but
okay.
dude, tell me about Ballard and the China effect too, and tell us what Ballard is, what you do, all that stuff.
Yeah, so Ballard Products is, I mean, we have a full service line of lawn care accessories. I think I mentioned earlier, I think we have about 1,600 SKUs now. We've got a ton of new products coming. So we're really we offer a ton of products and it doesn't come without a lot of hate because we do a lot of social media and that's been really the magic of growing the company and selling a lot of products. But with that comes a lot of hate when you put yourself out there like we do. And I don't even, it doesn't even bother me anymore. I know who we are, what we believe in, and our core values here. So that kind of stuff used to really get me down, and I felt like I always had to justify myself, and I don't need to do that
Hmm.
anymore. But and so yeah, we have a lot of products, and we develop products, we design products. We also have a lot of people bringing us products, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like this little mini Shark Tank. I just had a guy come last week. I have probably two products a week that come to me. I have a couple on my floor right now over here where people design things, guys like you working in the field, and you're like, man, there's got to be a better way to this shovel should work. And they're like, I don't really know what to do with it, but Ballard probably does. And so they
Hmm.
bring me these really cool ideas. And if we like them, we can get a manufacturer designed, whether we're going to a patent. I don't do a lot of patents just because they're so easy to knock off and everything else
Hmm.
going on. But and so we have probably 15 to 20 guys that get mailbox money from us every month for products that they've designed. Some get pretty hefty, nice checks every month. And so that's pretty cool. And then I've got a lot of products that I've been working on, or sometimes I'll just go out and watch people work. Like I designed a new backpack blower rack just because where you can walk back to it and it just you back into it and you start it up, you back into it, you put it on, you walk away. When you're done, you back
Smart.
back into it. I just kept watching our guys take the blower off, set it down, start
Right.
it up, pick it up, put it on, set it back down, shut it off, pick it up, put it back in the rack. And I'm like, that seems like a lot of dicking around.
Hmm.
And so I just kind of watch people work. And then, my metric for everything is, man, if I wouldn't use it, I can't sell it. I can't put my face out there and be like, hey, this is the coolest product ever. Now we have some stuff I don't use. We have some stuff that people think is kind of hokey. We have polished wheel covers you can put on your mower to make them look cooler, right? They're almost like hubcaps.
Yeah, hell
you
yeah.
know, and we sell a ton of them. And but you got to remember, we sell to a lot of mom and pop operations, guys. It's an owner operator. He's got 3 mowers. He loves his X marks. He wants to put some polished wheels or the blackout package on his, Spartan mowers. And for $29, he can put black covers on all 3 of his mowers. Man, okay. Like, I get people like, who the hell buys those? A lot of people.
Well, I laugh and then I'm like, well, actually, I'm about to like black out all the windows in my skid steers and
Yeah.
wrap them in vinyl.
Exactly. And so, we have some stuff that people think is kind of hokey, but we
Duh.
have a lot of fun with it. We got a great marketing team. We got a great warehouse. We're growing, really nicely. We've got a beautiful 25,000 square foot facility here. And so it's been fun. And my wife works here. And then we've got, I think we only have 9 or 10 people. We'll have some more during peak season in the warehouse, obviously, but, it's we do a lot of sales and it's fun and it's exciting and I'm excited again and that's the part for me. I need to be challenged and that's what Ballard does. And there's a lot of competition out there doing things and we don't have to mention China because I have products made in China. Full disclosure, everyone probably figures
Yeah.
that out, right? People are like, I don't buy anything that's not from China. I'm like, the phone you're typing on right now talking shit made in China. Like,
Everything is, yeah.
and
Yeah,
so
everything is.
but back to, we're going to stick to who we are, what we do, and what we believe in. And there's enough people out there that will find value in that. It's like Ford, it's like Ferrari doesn't worry about Ford, right? I mean, there's a buyer for Ferraris, there's a buyer for Fords, and there's everything in between. And with our business, there's probably, I don't even know what the number is, Caleb, 100,000 new companies probably going to start up this spring, from young entrepreneurs to a guy that got laid off and went out and bought a couple zero turns to, a firefighter who's going to cut some grass on the weekend to make some extra cash to feed his family. there's a ton of new people, and if we can be a resource for them to find quality products, then we'll be there for them. It feels like the hate online has kind of settled down, and I don't know if it's because we just don't interact anymore, or if maybe they just moved on. The one
Yeah.
guy, that one guy was going to beat us up. I can't remember his name. The same guy that tried to like beat up Brian. Um, I don't say his name because I
Threatened
don't even know
to,
who he
yeah.
is. So people will like tag me, and my number one thing is, and I say this all the time, is I don't even know who he is. And so people think like, what do you think about that guy? I'm like, I don't even know who he is. I and I don't, and I won't acknowledge it. So it's kind of, we have some fun
Right.
with it all the time. Like, I'm just gonna do my thing, buddy. And if you want to fight me, I guess we can do that later. Like, I'll let you know where I'm at. I'm up for the good ass
Yeah.
whooping.
What until you got time here, you say the word win there, Kory. Uh, a wise friend of mine says that when they had a company that a bunch of people were copying what they were doing, and he said, the thing about it is like, yeah, they can see where you're at, they see where you've been, they can't see where you're going. Now,
Right.
I think in your business, it's still different because there's so much intellectual theft, and with the Chinese especially copying everything you're doing and then putting on the market on probably like a Temu kind of thing, like all
Yeah,
that kind
they're
of stuff.
everywhere.
That that's not the same thing, right? Like that's immoral and wrong somehow, right? To tolerate that as a country. You can go political or not. I do not give a crap. I worry about that for all manufacturers and anybody with intellectual property. What's the? I don't. It doesn't have to be a solution, but what's something to do about that if
I
you
don't
see
think
that
there.
as an actual issue
I just
or
don't
no?
think there is, unfortunately. And Amazon has actually done the most damage. They don't protect American products or American patents or American trademarks at all. They just don't
Hmm.
care. And I don't know if it's just too overwhelming for them, but I know a guy with a great product. He did all the work, created an amazing product, did exactly what the American person should do, the American dream, created the product, got the patent, got a trademark, was selling a crazy amount of them, making an amazing living. He has been knocked off so bad that he's pretty much out of business. And Amazon did it. And it's not like Temu and Alibaba did it. Amazon did it. Now they're all made
Hmm.
in China. And it's really unfortunate, man. It's like, it's really unfortunate that, man, he did exactly what you were supposed to do by the book. And I was actually on the phone this morning with my attorney on another patent issue we're fighting, and he said, Kory, you can sue them. We might win, we might not. But by the time you get done suing them, there's going to be two more that or three more, and we can't sue everybody.
Whack
He
a
goes,
mole.
so
Yeah.
we just got to stick to what the game plan is. And for us, so when people say I can buy your products, I can buy it cheaper on Amazon, you can. They're not the same. They're not maybe as good. We buy all those products when they come out. We bring them here. We test them. Some of them are actually pretty damn good, to be honest. Like, some of them, I'm like, dude, that's pretty good for a third of the money. I'm like, it's pretty fucking good.
Hard to argue with that. Yeah.
It's not bad. But at the end of the day, that is what it is. It's a little bit scary that there's zero protection, but there's enough people out there, and there's enough product out there, and we're going to continue to tell our story. And if you want to buy from a company that you know and trust, at the end of the day, when you buy from those other companies, when you need warranty, when you need to talk to somebody about installation, good luck. At least with us, we feel like we bring a whole different level of customer service, and um, it is what it is, and it's not going to slow us down. I don't think we're poised to grow. I think 15 to 20% this year, and we're going to hit the hammer. Get the gas pedal down and keep growing, and plan on building another building out front here in the next 12 to 18 months. But I'm going to watch the market. I'm going to watch what goes on with some of these other competitors, and it is what it is. It's no different than what kind of Walmart did to the small mom and
Hmm.
pop, nickel and dime story. They're just, wiped them out.
Yeah. Kory, plug all your stuff one more time here, and I'll let you go.
Yeah, so if you want to see any of the products, it's ballard-inc.com. If you want to check out another podcast, we think we have a pretty solid podcast where we just tell it how it is, the green grind. You can find Ballard on Instagram, Facebook. If you want to check out Perfect Cut, it's kind of a great website, and kind of the history of all of our people are on there. That's PERFICUT.com. That's all I got for today, and I got to run and go meet some people at my house right now. But man, I appreciate you having me on, and I'll do it anytime you want me to. We could probably go down. I mean, I could do this I love talking about business, and if there's anything I can do to help, I'd love to.
Kory, thank you so very much for your time, man. This has been absolutely wonderful, folks. I'm gonna do an intro for the show and an outro here to explain a few things. I'm gonna do this, and Kory, I'll get you that information of some thoughts I got on this, dude. Thanks so much.
Yep, sounds good, buddy. Take care. Have a good day.
We'll see you. Bye.
See you, bud.
Okay, so that was awesome, and I've got some notes here. And if you're watching us on YouTube or whatever here, big thanks Company Cam, our friends at LMN, Cycle CPA, the Hardscape Academy Steel Wrist, Forward Coaching, John Pajak, Ladix, all that. Thank you, folks. Leanscaper as well. I'm going to do something special with this episode, and this is the cool stuff you can do when you have great staff around you to help you with these things. From the show at 42 minutes to about 49, I'm going to take that information there, have AI chop that up into a almost like a micro SOP of like training. And a lot of that stuff, by the way, too, you can find at Greenius and even at Leanscaper. So you might check that stuff out. This will be our little version of it here. So I'll try to put that in the show notes. We'll see. Or we'll send out an email if you're on the email list. You should go to the hardscapeacademy.com and get on our email list. I'm going to also have that section chopped up into a soundbite. I'm going to send it to my guys talking about how I need you to train the team. And we're also going to have that conversation in person as well. Who is the best trainer at the company? Man, that's such a good point. And like, it might be me. It might not be. We'll see. But we got to get a training protocol put together. And we're going to actually look at implementing Greenius to help us with that. Because it seems to be a pretty good platform for that. I am looking for, though, a great way to train people on excavators. So many people we've been looking at hiring is they have no mini excavator, no excavator experience at all. And that's something I got. They got other experience, skid steers and things like that, but no mini. So we got to work on that. Mini excavator is a big part of our company now. With that beautiful steel wrist on it there. Explain the why, not just the what. Geez, the notes on this episode are amazing. And I always love talking to Kory. Gosh, that is so much stuff. A guy that's really had an amazing journey of building and selling companies. How cool is that? And somebody that's been super open, too, with so many things of that. So that was it. Yes, Miss Britt. 1:30. Okay, cool. And it's not. What time is it? Zeke needs picked up at 1:30. So we're going to do this. Set timer for 20 minutes. So that'll remind me to do that. Okay, so that being said, folks, what an episode. Absolutely killer. Man, that's got me thinking about a lot of things there. So thank you, Kory, for your time and what you're doing for the industry. Go check out Ballard Products. We'll throw Brian a bone here. I think Brian's 10 gets you a discount on everything on that website. Go, that'll be in the show notes. All that. From the Company Cam Studios here, folks, the Kid Contractor podcast in beautiful Fairfield County, Ohio, snow-covered Fairfield County. We'll catch you on the next one, man. That was a good one.